So hi, my name is Carolyn. I am going to do my June wrap up even though we're almost halfway through July. Life just has gotten crazy. And anyway, here we go. So the first book that I finished in June was Morning Star, which is the last book in the original trilogy of Red Rising. There's now a spin-off trilogy-ish continuation of the series. I'm not completely sure. I needed some time to recover from this book before jumping into the next book. Obviously I don't want to tell you what goes on in this book because previous two books, but the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown is about, it's kind of dystopian, set in the future where there's a hierarchy of colors, red being the lowest, gold being the highest, and each color has its own purpose and is more or less genetically modified for what they do, and obviously a lot of dissatisfaction due to that and not being given a choice and being told lies. I don't know if that was a great summary, but this whole series is very good. Originally I thought it was YA. It is not at all YA. Not that younger readers can't read it, but it has some very serious content, some violence. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And this last book, total whirlwind. I needed a lot of recovery during it. The next book that I finished was Swing Time by Zadie Smith, and so when I first heard of this book, due to the summary not really saying, I don't know, when the story takes place, I was kind of thinking it would be like 20s, 30s-ish time, but it's more modern-ish time, early 2000s-ish, and so it's about, really it's about one person, but it's somewhat about friendship and work and just life as well. And it kind of flashes back between her as a grown-up and her as a child, and this friendship with another girl named Tracy during her friendship, and then how it kind of evolves and work takes over and just life and society. It talks a lot about race and culture as well. It wasn't what I originally thought it would be, but it was a very interesting book and brings up a lot of good points. A lot about nature and natural grace versus kind of how some people, they show how much they work towards things, especially in dance, and other people it's all about grace and looking effortless, and just that in life as well, in art, and just, yeah, there's a lot going on in this book. I'm doing horrible at summarizing books. Yep. Lastly, I read the Illuminae trilogy. I had read the first book, Illuminae, previously, but I had not read the other two books, Gemina and Obsidio, before. So, and these are also sci-fi books. I didn't say that Red Rising is sci-fi. Oh, it's set on Mars for the most part, and yeah. Anyway, Illuminae, Gemina, and Obsidio are science fiction as well, set in space, in the future, non-existent planets area. But the first book starts off with an attack on a illegal mining company, mining settlement, and it goes from there, and this is YA. There is There is cursing in this book, or these books, but the cursing, at least for the text version, is blacked out. And all of these books are really interesting in that they are a different, they're not typical writing. It's not a narrator sitting down. It is conversations, especially the first one is a lot of emails or IMs and some analysis of video surveillance. And then you also have, I guess the one narrator would be a computer. I don't think that's spoiling anything. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling especially well today, and so I'm not explaining things very well. The second and third book are a little bit more heavy on the video surveillance, but they still have multi perspectives. All three of the books flow very well. The first book is definitely the heaviest in multiple sides and forms of communication or whatnot, but all three of them do have the multiple sources of communication. Audiobooks are very good for that as well. The books, yeah, all three of them have some amount of like illustration going on, which the audiobooks do a very good job of turning that into an audio format, but the books, you have the visual, and they are stunning visuals. Consuming series, finishing all three books, the very large books, in maybe 2 weeks at the most. It completely wraps me in the story, and I become very addicted to that story especially. Just super fast paced, and I love the humor. They do a great job of, there's some teenage angst in it, but it doesn't like blow it up into unreasonable proportions, because while there is like relationship stuff going on, the universe is also moral ascending, and so it's not at the same level of whatnot, but at the same time it doesn't minimize that, hey, we're still people and we're still looking for connections. So it does a really great job of exploring that without exploiting it or minimizing it, but just it seeming, you know, believable. And the humor is really funny. Goodness, the second book, there's a song that keeps popping up, and the audiobook does a great job of that. But it got stuck in my head because I was reading it so fast, and listening to the audiobook, you get that song stuck in your head. It was really funny. Oh, and I listened to an audiobook as well. I finished the audiobook of Very Professional Internet Person by a YouTuber, Jenn Pen, and I can't remember her real name, but that was interesting. That was not as addictive for me. I kept picking it up, putting it down. It's probably taken me over a year to finally finish it, and so I'm not the best person to review that book, just because I don't really know if I remember what went on in the beginning part of that book. But it was still a decent book, but I don't follow her. It just sounded like an interesting book. It was about her story of growing up and growing into this YouTuber. She's still young, maybe 20s-ish. But it was interesting. It was funny. Yeah. Anyway, that is all that I have. I hope you're having an amazing day. go live your life. I think that's how I'm signing out of this. Yeah, go live your life. Bye.